Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Your Competitive Edge with Baird and Warner. I'm Lauren Walker. I'm Senior Director of Strategy here at Inman. And today I get to sit down and talk with John Matthews. John is Senior Vice President of Residential Sales at Baird and Warner. John, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Lauren.
I'm really excited because when we picked this topic, I don't think we quite knew what we were getting into. Our topic is strategies for the second half of 2020. And I think safe to say the first half of 2020 caught some folks off guard. Wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yep. It was the first quarter of 2020 looked like it was going to be a record year.
Right.
And then the brakes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of content about, kind of strategies for the here and now, but you're forward looking. You're looking to quarter 3 and 4, which I think is great, which for people need to be forward looking. So what are some big takeaways from the first half of the year that you've seen?
Well, certainly we adapted very quickly. And the wonderful thing about Baird Warner, because we are a locally owned company and I can pick up the phone right now and call Steve Baird and we can make decisions very quickly. And we were able to pivot for the new market very, very fast. And that wasn't only, it was, with training, what our agents needed, the tools they needed, computer equipments that our staff needed that had to go remote.
Sure.
So we adapted very quickly. And certainly the first part of our stay at home was very, very disruptive. But as we got 2, 3 weeks into it, we started seeing momentum and really bringing the company back, bringing sales back, getting mortgages, and of course closings.
Right.
So, but one of the biggest takeaways I saw is we went virtual
Yep.
as we are now, and that's not going to go away.
Mm.
That's not going to go away. It may not be all of your business as the stay-at-home orders are starting to end, but it should be a big part of your business still because it's very comfortable for people. It's very easy. It cuts down a lot of travel time and it's convenient.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I've learned with using virtual and talking to people, which they're very comfortable doing now because it's the new world,
Hmm.
is that in the very beginning, there was assumptions that real estate was shut down.
Sure.
I would go to the store and the butcher would say, "Oh, you guys are still selling houses?"
Yeah.
And my neighbors, my neighbor who is an essential worker, he's a landscaper, he owns a landscaping company. He says, "Oh, you can sell houses still?" So the world kind of thought we were shut down too. And so telling the agents, reach out, make sure you're connecting with people because they need to know that we are out there. We're paying attention to generally their biggest asset.
Now, you guys were saying you had some very strong numbers kind of in spite of the crisis, but you had really interesting perspective on why those numbers weren't even stronger.
Well, we had a very good May, and actually May we were down. We were down, but it was just single digit. So it was overall our company did a lot of business. We almost did $1 billion worth of business.
Wow.
It was a very good month. And historically, when you look at it, sometimes if you look at it, say maybe to last May, you say, "Oh, we were down. How terrible we were down." But then you look at it historically and say, "Wow, that was a pretty good month." And I think we did a couple of things, and I know you've talked to them before with Eddie and Sarah. We did the virtual open house fest, which was very interesting. We had a lot of open houses, but we learned a huge lesson. We
Mm.
had great traction. We had a lot of people looking at our open houses. We had a lot of people interacting, but we forgot to do one thing. We forgot to ask people for an appointment.
Oh, wow.
Would you like to see this house? Because you could still show houses. So a few weeks later, we ran a second open house fest too.
Hmm.
But prior to that, we practiced dialogues on how to ask for appointments. So the first open house fest, we did see a spike in our listings selling and getting more buyers. The second open house fest, we saw a spike of 33%. We sold a third more houses than the previous week. And all it was making that difference, the practice and then going out and using what we had practiced with the consumer. And it puts the consumer at ease when you can
Mhm.
talk knowledgeable and let them know, hey, it's okay. You can buy a house. You can sell a house in this environment.
Sure.
So, but one of the other things that I did learn talking to all my managers, and I'm a data guy. I do my homework every morning, is that not everybody was comfortable coming back to work,
Mm.
and not all buyers and sellers are comfortable participating in the market. And what I realized is that if we would have had, and we're a large company, we have over almost 2,400 agents,
Right.
and and that if we would have got 10 to 15% more of our agents to participate, if they would have felt more comfortable, we probably would have had one of our best Mays. We would have beat last year and had one of our best Mays. So, but it was a good lesson because it's just like talking to the consumer. What were their concerns? What were their fears? And how do we address them?
Sure.
Okay. And so, now that I'm talking to my managers, I coach with my managers. Baird Warner is a coaching company. If you don't,
Mm.
I think most people in the market know that. So I coach the managers. We talk about, what are their concerns? How do you talk to these agents? So basically, we just pinpointed the agents who didn't participate compared to last year, and we reached out to them, and we were understanding and found out what their concerns and fears are. And certainly there are a lot. There's, the economy, COVID,
Right.
uh, children at home is very big. A lot of places are closed still, and so the children are in the backyard
Right.
and they need supervision.
Well, that's such an interesting intersection of data and emotion to navigate, this situation where you guys kind of, helped empower your agents with data so they can kind of, offset the emotion and the fear that you mentioned. Can you talk a little bit more about this tactical approach you have, John? Because you mentioned dialogues, you mentioned practicing. I mean, these are skills that have been evergreen in the industry. So, what are some other skills that you're encouraging your agents to reinforce and focus on as they look to the rest of the year?
Well, first, don't assume that 2020 is dead. Okay, I am expecting that June is going to be a record month.
Wow.
I'm already seeing double-digit sales gains throughout the market, not just Baird and Warner, throughout the market. So it's a very active market. Um, as in most parts of the country, inventory is a problem,
Mhm.
and that's because the market's active. It's not because people aren't selling the houses; they are selling very fast right now.
Okay.
So what I've been talking to not only managers but agents is, we have a lot of tools,
Mhm.
and the first thing is it's a very simple concept. It's win the morning.
Win the morning.
Win the morning. And it sounds simple, but it's really not, because there's really four parts to it. If you're not seen and heard, you become a secret agent and nobody pays attention to you. And I guarantee there's 44,000 agents in Chicago. If you don't have great marketing, you're going to get lost.
Mhm.
And that's the amazing thing about Baird and Warner's marketing department, because they created during COVID, in an 8-week period, they created 119 new marketing pieces for the agents to have unique marketing in their local communities.
Wow. That's a
So
lot of output.
it, I think they were working around the clock. It was just incredible. So you market, and then the second thing while you're marketing is that marketing is for appointments, okay? And so you have to practice dialogues. You have to know how to talk to people, like we just talked about the concerns and fears, but you have
Mhm.
to know how to talk to people, because if you ask the right questions, and I've always said it's a Socrates thing, is that questions are the answers.
Mm.
Okay, so if you ask the right questions, you'll get the answers you need to help guide the person you're talking to their dreams and goals. And we're all dreamers. We're
Yes.
all dreamers. Okay, and we can never forget that. Everybody has a dream, and as a practicing professional in the real estate industry, you need to know what the consumer's dream is, and the only way you're going to find out is by asking the right questions. Okay, then the next part is you have to do your homework. I talked about it. I do my homework every day. You have to know what's going on in the market. And the good news, as an agent, it's generally hyper local. You have to pay attention to a very small segment, but you have to know it, because when somebody asks you a question, you can always say, hey, that's a great question, I'll get back to you. But it's even better if you know the answer.
Right.
Okay. And then the last part, and it's the hardest part, you have to set appointments.
Mm.
You have to set appointments. And statistically, and we have great relationships. Baird Warner, we work with Tom Ferry. In fact, I'm on a Tom Ferry call tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Tom Ferry's talking to us again this year. We work with Larry Kendall, Ninja Selling, and we do ninja selling training in the office. And we've had a long relationship with Brian Buffini, and some of our agents still, our managers still train. They're mentors for the Brian Buffini Peak Performers program.
Wow.
So if you ask any one of them, if you went out and got 50 new appointments in a year, how much business will you get? And I guarantee they would all say you would probably close 25 to 35 transactions on 50 appointments. That's basically one a week and 2 weeks off for vacation. So
Okay.
win that morning. And the other part of that win that morning is, let's face it, we've been a little locked up for the last 10 weeks. It's summertime. So if you win that morning, you can control your time, control your clients a little bit better, and maybe go out and enjoy yourself a little bit more this summer.
That's
Well
really
deserved.
nice. That sounds wonderful. You said something when we were talking earlier that really stuck with me, John, which was don't give up, follow up. Can you talk a
Right,
little bit about that?
right. Because, everybody has a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody said to you, hey, how much is, and I know a little bit about you, Lauren, so it's how much would a 4-bedroom house be in Wheaton, Illinois?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you said, well, that can rent, if you were in this neighborhood, it'd be this price to this price. You know the answer because you've done your homework. All right. That means they have a dream that they may need a 4-bedroom house, but they may not be ready today
Mm-hmm.
to purchase that house. Okay. So it's great you answer the question, but follow up is key, because the day will come. And, the one thing about real estate is, when the one thing about when you want to move or change your location or maybe upgrade your home or downsize your home, this crazy thing called life gets in the way.
Yes.
Okay. So, and in Chicago, like oh boy, I'd love to buy this condo, and you're driving to work and you hit a pothole and you have front end damage that is, $2,500. And you're like, oh my God, that puts off that search for a month.
Sure.
And so, and you always have to remember that as a real estate agent. So and I shouldn't say used to, I still teach, when you meet a new client, in your mind, 18 months
Hmm.
minimum before they buy a house or sell a house. 18 months. If they do it next week, great. But if they don't do it in 6 months, you understand there's still 12 more months to follow up.
Got it. That potholes are real. So that's really funny to hear about that. We were talking earlier about data versus emotion. And we're still in a bit of a crisis. We have the pandemic and we have some social unrest. And so can you talk a little bit about how do you empower agents to respond when they're greeted with this emotion from their consumer, from their client?
And I actually talk about that a lot. And we have to be understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, we're very privileged to be in the field that we're in and service the community that we get to service. And fortunately, being with a company that's 165 years old, who has seen a civil war,
Mm.
has seen 2 world wars, has seen a Spanish flu, and now COVID-19. We've seen a Great Depression. We've seen the Great Recession, and we've strived through all of it each time. And we know that we'll strive through this. But if you always look at the core of our history as a company, is because we are understanding.
Mhm.
We understand that people have fears and they have concerns, and you have to have the ability to address them. So these are things we talk about. Our training next week is all on fair housing and implicit bias. It's very
Wow.
important to the history of our company. So Monday morning at 9:30, we're bringing in special guest speakers to talk about it to the entire company. So if you understand and take your time to learn, all you're doing is building the relationship. So when the time is right, you'll be there to help them.
Sure. And that's really about being a leader in your community, wouldn't you say?
It's all about being a leader in the community. And, I tell, agents, and it's funny because I'm connected to so many on social media. I have no friends because I have, 3,000 agents on social media. And, but I've always said, get out in your community, go to the restaurants, support the businesses,
Mm.
or if there's causes, I personally, do an art fair where I create an artwork piece that gets sold off at auction at the end of the summer and goes to, youth services in
Wow.
the community I live in. So, and I tell, these are the things you have to do. You have to be out in front in your community. You have to be part of it because, you protect your community. You're basically protecting your industry and your income because it'll be a place that people want to live.
Sure. Sure. So I was looking at your bio, John. I was doing a little bit of homework. And I saw that among your many accolades, you were Rookie of the Year in 1993. And
Yes.
that's pre-internet. 93 doesn't sound that long ago, but it was a very different landscape. Can you talk a little bit about how you achieved that and what applies today for new agents?
It's so funny, Lauren, because I was looking at that question this morning. Thank you for the hint. And, it was pre-internet, but it was not pre-computer.
Sure.
And so I laugh all the time because when I came into the industry, first of all, I had golden blonde hair. And it was the Mary Lou Retton period. And everybody, all the women in the office had very short hair. And I came in and I had long golden locks.
Oh my goodness.
But I had to create another thing that I brought into the office my first day too, and it was called a computer, which most people were not familiar with. I brought a computer, it had a CRM in it, and I brought a color printer. Okay, so I had all those tools from the very beginning.
Mhm.
And so it was unique as an agent. And honestly, I say all the time, agents thought I had antennas coming out of my head. Like, this guy, what, a computer? He's going to sell real estate?
Right.
Seriously? You got to go to the country club to sell real estate. You can't do it on a computer. So, and now, these are all the tools that Baird Warner provides their agents.
Right.
So I had all that with the CRM. I built a database that I followed up. My goal, I had the simplest goal in the world, one new appointment a week. I
Hmm.
was to that 52 appointments because I figured out that if I did 52 appointments, I would sell almost 30 homes. Okay, which I did.
Mhm.
So, but where I learned that is because I hired a coach. All right. And I started manager was one of the top producers in the office. When I became a manager, I decided I was not going to sell, I was going to coach my agents. And so did several other managers in our company. Now it's our entire company. Our managers coach our agents. So our agents have a CRM, they have computers, they have color printers, they have a marketing service department, and they have a coach
Wow.
in-house. So they have all the tools they need to be successful. So really all they got to do is go out and get appointments.
Well, you were the blueprint, John.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to have to get a picture of the golden locks because I know our viewers are going to want to see that. But in the meantime, I want to say thank you so much for sharing all of that with us and helping people go out and make those appointments and keep moving the industry forward.
Thank you, Lauren.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye.